My name is John Young, Assistant Superintendent here at Lincoln Parish Schools. This is the 2022-23 Employee Handbook Overview. As an employee of the Lincoln Parish School Board, you're responsible for completing all or some of the trainings below, depending on your job type. Additional trainings may be required for specialized positions within the district. This year, we'll use Vector Solutions as our training platform. Some of the trainings you will complete through Vector will be ethics. You will do an acknowledgement for completing this handbook review and that you understand all of its contents. Mandatory reporting, McKinney-Vento, dating violence, FERPA, bullying, suicide prevention, sexual harassment, and other health-related training such as asthma, inhalers, EpiPen, glucagon, bloodborne pathogens, and MRSA. Points of emphasis will be employee conduct, employee discipline, child abuse and mandatory reporting, sexual harassment and reporting, employee use of social media, types of leave, and political activities. Employee conduct. How do we as employees treat each other, students, parents, and other members of our school community? Our policy has specific guidelines for minimum standards of conduct. Employees and all others shall be expected to observe at least the following standards of conduct: be courteous to students, one another, the public, and conduct themselves in a professional and ethical manner. Recognize and respect the rights and property of students, other employees, and the public. Maintain confidentiality of all matters relating to students and other employees. Demonstrate dependable attendance and punctuality with regard to assigned activities and work schedules. Observe and adhere to all terms of an employee's contract or job description. Strive to keep current and knowledgeable about the employee's area of responsibility. Refrain from promoting personal attitudes and opinions from matters other than general discussion. Refrain from using undue influence to gain or attempt to gain promotion, leave, favorable assignments, or other individual benefit or advantage. And advocate positive personal behavior on or off campus and attempt to avoid improprieties or the appearance of improprieties. Employee deficiency reports. This is the form that supervisors and principals use to document deficiencies. It has comments there, and your supervisor will note the deficiency. There are 2 signature blanks, one for you as an employee, and remember your signature does not imply agreement or disagreement. And this form is given to Human Resources and kept on file. Examples of deficiency: arriving at work late with no prior notice to your supervisor, skipping an announced meeting without cause, not being courteous to other employees, students, or parents, or failure to complete a report by a deadline. Employee concern form. This is the standard grievance form for any issues that you have as an employee. You're to describe the incident you're having and also list any solutions that you would like to see happen in terms of resolving your situation. If the issue is with your direct supervisor, this form can be turned into Human Resources as well. And it also gives a follow-up action taken by the administrator or your supervisor in terms of how your situation was resolved. Electronic communications between employees and students. The Lincoln Parish School Board shall require that all communications between employees and students be appropriate and in accordance with state law. All electronic or any other communications by employees to students at any time shall be expected to be professional, acceptable in content to any reasonable person, and limited to information that is school-related or is acceptable to both student and parent. Mandatory reporting. The Lincoln Parish School Board shall require that instances of suspected child abuse or neglect be reported in accordance with appropriate state and local laws and procedures. Therefore, the school board directs that all school personnel be informed of their responsibilities under law as mandatory reporters when performing their occupational duties. Remember, a mandatory reporter is any school staff member. There are 3 ways to report child abuse or suspected child abuse or neglect here in the state of Louisiana. The first is using their hotline telephone number. You can also use their mandated reporter portal on the DCFS website, or you can make a report in person at any child welfare office. Also, dual reporting to DCFS and local or state law enforcement is permitted, and if you have any reason to suspect that it needs to be turned into local law enforcement, please consult your supervisor or principal when you do that. So, what are the three ways to report suspected child abuse and neglect? Calling the designated hotline for DCFS, and that is 855-452-5437. You can do this online at www.dcfs.louisiana.gov, or you can do it in person at any child welfare office. Employee sexual harassment. It is the policy of the Lincoln Parish School Board to provide an employment environment that is free from unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, or other verbal or physical conduct or communications deemed to constitute sexual harassment under federal and state laws, regulations, and guidelines. The Lincoln Parish School Board shall not tolerate sexual harassment by any student, employee, non-employee volunteer, or school board member toward any individual. Inappropriate conduct which may constitute sexual harassment may include, but is not limited to, verbal harassment such as derogatory jokes, comments, slurs or remarks or questions of a sexual nature, physical harassment such as unnecessary or offensive touching, and visual harassment such as derogatory or offensive posters, cards, cartoons, graffiti, drawings, looks, or gestures. Harassment may depend not only upon the perpetrator's intention, but also upon how the person who is the target perceives the behavior or is affected by it. Reporting procedure. Any person who believes he or she has been a victim of sexual harassment by an employee or non-employee volunteer of the Lincoln Parish School Board, or any person with knowledge or belief of conduct which may constitute sexual harassment, should report the alleged acts immediately to the employee's immediate supervisor, who in turn shall submit it to the superintendent or his or her designee. If the alleged acts were committed by the employee's immediate supervisor, the complaint should be directed to the superintendent or his or her designee. If criminal activity is involved, the victim should also report the incident to local law enforcement. The person to whom the complaint is given shall promptly prepare a written report and forward it to the superintendent or his or her designee. Employee use of social media. The Lincoln Parish School Board acknowledges that employees may engage in the use of social media during their personal time. Employees who use social media for personal purposes must be mindful that they are responsible for their public conduct, even when not acting in their capacities as school district employees. All employees, including student teachers and independent contractors, shall comply with the requirements of this policy when using electronic social media for personal purposes. Employees shall be responsible for the content of the social media sites, including content added by the employee's friends, or members of the public who can access the employee's site, and for web links on the employee's site. Employees shall take reasonable precautions, such as using available security settings to restrict students from viewing the personal information on social media websites and to prevent students from accessing materials that are not age appropriate. Employees shall be prohibited from accessing social networking websites for personal use during instructional time or with school board technological resources. Employees shall not post confidential information about students, employees, or school district business. Employees shall not accept current students as friends or followers or otherwise connect with students on social media sites unless the employee and student have a family relationship. Employees shall not knowingly allow students access to their personal social media sites that discuss or portray sex, nudity, alcohol or drug use, or the behaviors associated with the employee's private lives that would be inappropriate to discuss with a student at school. Employees may not knowingly grant students access to any portions of their personal social media sites that are not accessible to the general public unless employee and student have a family relationship. Employees shall be professional in all internet postings related to or referencing the school district, students, and other employees. Employees shall not use profane, pornographic, obscene, indecent, lewd, vulgar, or sexually offensive language, pictures or graphics, or other communication that could reasonably be anticipated to cause a substantial disruption to the school environment. Employees should not use the school district's logo or other copyrighted material of the district without express written consent from the Lincoln Parish School Board. Employees shall not post identifiable images of a student or student's family without permission from the student and the student's parent or legal guardian. Employees shall not use internet postings to libel or defame the Lincoln Parish School Board members, school district employees, or students. Employees shall not use internet postings to make negative comments about other employees of the Lincoln Parish School Board, its programs, regardless of complaint. Employees shall not use internet postings to harass, bully, or intimidate other employees or students, in violation of the school board's policies or state or federal laws. Employees shall not post inappropriate content that negatively impacts their ability to perform their jobs. Employees shall not use internet postings to engage in any other conduct that violates school board policies and administrative procedures or state or federal laws. Types of leave. Not all listed leave categories are available to every employee. Please consult the district handbook for your job type and which leave types are available to you. Some of the leave types that are there: jury duty, sick leave, personal business leave, extended sick leave, maternity leave, Family Medical Leave Act or FMLA, annual leave, and the Lincoln Parish School Board Sick Leave Bank. Political activities. On November 8th, we will be closed because of elections that are occurring in some of our school sites. It is strongly felt by the Lincoln Parish School Board that teachers should stress the importance of citizenship responsibilities and the political rights of citizenship to each student. For administrators, teachers, and staff to be able to place strong emphasis on these areas, the board believes they should have the right to enjoy these privileges, free from any pressures and/or concerns. It is felt that all employees should be free to support candidates of their choice, exercising their own good judgment. Therefore, all personnel shall be notified that they must not be part of any activity relating to the campaign or election of any candidate for political office during office hours or while on duty, nor use any school board facility for such activity. This includes, but is not limited to, making or soliciting contributions to campaign funds, or promoting any candidate by distribution of cards, pictures, handbills, clothing and pens, making telephone contacts, or in any other way during office hours or while on duty. This requirement applies in every school of the system, department of the system, central office, and on school buses. Any materials or equipment owned or held by the Lincoln Parish School Board or staff shall not be made available to any group or individual without the board's approval. No public funds shall be used to urge any elector to vote for or against any candidate, proposition, or be appropriated to a candidate or political organization. This policy shall not prohibit the use of public funds for dissemination of factual information relative to any proposition appearing on any election ballot. The school board states that the provisions of this policy shall apply during business hours or while an employee is on official school board business and is not intended to interfere with personal time or affairs away from offices or school facilities in any way. It is your responsibility to study the employee handbook and develop an understanding of the contents. If you're not clear on a policy or procedure, ask for clarification from your direct supervisor. I'm John Young, Assistant Superintendent. You can reach me at john.young@lincolnschools.org. Have a great 2022-23 school year.